Good evening, and welcome to the Albright Scholar for January 2020. I almost said June, given the weather outside. My name is John Pankratz. I teach history at Albright, and each month it's my privilege to welcome BCTV viewers and residents of Greater Reading to take a glimpse inside our learning community up here on North 13th Street, to look at the work being done by students and teachers, and to think about its impact on all of us. Well, it's the beginning of a very busy year at Albright College, and the beginning of a very busy week for my guests on the program tonight. You might recall our December show. My guests were Stephanie Pinnell and my colleague, Dr. Beth Keister. And we hinted in that program that Beth's dog was going to have some special duty in the month of January because her dog has a very important walk-on role in the Domino Players production of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. And I'm delighted to say that I have three of the students who have been working very hard on this production and who are about to take it off to the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival, Region 2 Festival at the University of Maryland this week. Welcome, guys. On my left, I have Sanaya Fontaine, who plays the role of Siobhan in the play. I have Ben Zveras, who plays the role of Christopher Boone
Thank you for
in the play, and Mackenzie Metler, who is the assistant director of this production. Congratulations to all three of you for being invited to festival.
Thank you so much. It's an honor, actually.
Yeah. Maybe tell us a little bit about what this festival is and what it works, how it works. I know that you've been there before.
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. The Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival is a festival of theater productions that are several productions are invited to be brought to a certain college on the and these colleges, these shows are put on there. There's at least 5 or 6 invited.
5 or 6 invited shows per region.
Yeah.
And the region in which Albright finds itself is Region 2, that includes Pennsylvania, parts of New York State, parts of Ohio, Maryland, Northern Virginia. So it's a significant swath of the American landscape. And it's a chance for literally thousands of theater students and theater faculty members to get together to observe each other's work and to really craft their own skills in this most wonderful of media. Sanaya, I know you and Bence both went last year with another invited production. It seems to be a little bit of a tradition here at Albright College, doesn't it?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I was joking with Jeff when we...
Jeffrey Lensart, the director of this show.
Right. When we first started, and he was like, I really think this has a good chance of going to festival. And I said, good, because now that I've gotten a taste of it, I can't accept anything less.
Right.
So it's honestly, it's been such an honor and a pleasure to work with Mackenzie and Bence and all the rest of the cast, and to succeed in this great amount that festival is. Like, it's really a big deal.
Last year, your production of A Raisin in the Sun won multiple awards for so many of the performers, but also the award is the best production of a play in the United States. So that was pretty cool. This is a different production, isn't it?
Yes.
Mackenzie, what play are you taking to festival?
The play?
The
Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's based on a novel, and then was turned into a play and had a huge success both in London and the West End, but then also on Broadway, winning some Tony Awards and
definitely
and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What's the story? Some of our viewers may have actually read the book before, and I know it's taught in high school often.
I believe I could be wrong. The author, Mark Haddon, lived in Reading at one point.
Did he?
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty
Surprise.
cool.
That is cool.
A bit of information. But
What's the
story.
Yeah. So we follow a kid. His name's Christopher Boone. Benz. And basically we follow him. He finds a dog who has been killed. And we follow him through this journey of, I don't want to ruin the ending, but he finds out there's more than one mystery to be solved.
Yeah.
And he has one real relationship throughout the play, and it's with Siobhan. And that's the one that kind of guides him through it all, and she reads the book that he makes. And basically, he goes through this journey. It's really a coming of innocence story. He realizes a lot of things, that the world's not always straight on. It's not always, he's very mathematical. The one goal that Christopher has is to take his A-level maths. I don't want to ruin it, but does he? I don't know.
We might ruin it a little bit
Okay,
later.
I didn't know exactly.
Because our audience doesn't get to go to festival
Got it.
unless
That's
they're
you saw
a college theater student someplace.
Right.
Christopher is a young man who's in a sense on the autism spectrum, and so he has difficulty with touching, he has difficulty with crowds, he has difficulty with distractions, but he is a mathematical genius at the same time. And what the book did, and what I think the play does remarkably, is let us into his consciousness.
Yeah, the play isn't told entirely through his perspective, through this book that he has written,
The journal that
reciting
he's
the
kept
events,
and
reciting
shared
the
with his
events
teacher.
of the play. Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's just interesting. Our whole season this year for the Domino Players deals with looking at life in different perspectives and through uncommon eyes. And I think this production of Curious Incident really speaks to that really well. And before we actually got on stage, we did a lot of table work, and we talked about how what this play means, and does it matter that Christopher has autism? Like what parts of his character influence the rest of the story and how things go, and just looking at the world through his eyes was, I think,
And really appreciating
really-
his vision
right.
and his sensibility. That's a remarkable thing. We just feel the world that he does, the way he does, and we worry about the world
Right.
in the way that he does as well. I should say that audiences have loved this. We had
yes.
another audience in for a final dress rehearsal last Friday, and the theater was almost full, and they made lots of contributions to help defray the cost of taking this big show to festival. But so many people were struck by your performance, Bence, and some interesting compliments. I know that several people asked, "Is Bence on the spectrum?" And because you were so believable in the role, and we said, "Well, no, he's not." One of my colleagues who works in information technology was just blown away by the performance and really loved it. And then she said, "Who is that actor? Who is that actor?" And she looks in her program and she realizes that she sees you every day over at the computer math building. This was Dorothy Herr, and she didn't realize it was you as you were on stage.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'll make one more confession, that I was a little bit worried for Christopher going off to festival, because it's going to be all that crowd of people, and I was worried that you'd be really distressed by that. But of course, you're Bence and not Christopher. Yeah. What sort of preparations did you have to do to realize this role so completely?
One of the things that I did was I did a lot of outside research about children on the spectrum, what sorts of things that they deal with and how they perceive the world. I spoke a lot with my sister, who actually works with children on the spectrum. I also had a lot of conversations with the director, Jeffrey Lentz, outside, building the character and thinking about what he's thinking in certain scenes and how he perceives the world, and building on this character.
Yeah. That's remarkable. You're here explaining with your hands very relaxed and graceful, but in this play, your fingers are often sort of
Yes.
clenched in an enormous tension. And
Yeah, there's a lot of idiosyncrasies that I developed throughout my entire process to help me stay in character throughout the entire show, because I never leave the stage
Right.
throughout the entire production.
Right, you're there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's arduous work. It's very difficult.
It's really a challenge for an
Yeah.
actor. And Sanaya, you're there the whole time.
Yeah.
And it looks like you're reading from a notebook, but you're not actually, are you?
No, someone asked me that too. They they were like, wow, that must have been really easy for you having all those lines and having that book. I said, I wish there were words in that book, but no, it was blank. Except the first couple of pages. The first couple of pages did have lines in them, but they weren't mine.
Not yours.
So
Yeah.
that was also a big fear that I had, is that I would be looking and reading these lines, and that mine would just completely escape my head, and I'd go, 2 minus 1, whatever was written in there. But yeah, I got through it. It was
Yeah, you did.
challenge, but
You did. We mentioned that Jeffrey Lentz was the director, and the designer for the show was Dalia Al-Habili, and it's a wonderful, beautiful set that in some ways mirrors the precision and mathematical perceptions of Christopher, the main character. A grid on a blue surface with orange lines, and then these orange metal structural elements and frameworks, and then in the back these blue books, these examination books, sort of dotting the skyscape or landscape behind. It's a really beautiful space to work in. But I know that on Broadway, there were all these technical aspects. There was an escalator, and there were projections, and all this physical stuff to convey the setting.
Right.
Jeff, of course, is the master of conveying setting without a lot of stuff.
yeah.
Was that fun to work at? Was it fun to create the City of London, the Tube, the neighborhoods, and that sort of thing without having a lot of built stuff?
It's very difficult because, as you've mentioned, Jeff is a very minimalist director. He often has a very small set with few objects, so it does require a lot of the imagination to be implemented while being on stage. And it's a lot to keep track of as well, because when you are in these spaces that you're not really in, it takes a lot out of you.
Because you're supplying the energy of
Yeah.
that space, and you have to make it real. It's not like a mime, not showing walls and stuff like that, but using the space in a way that's convincing. And then it demands something of the audience as well to exercise their own imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the wonderful thing about theater at Albright. It always challenges the audience to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's why. It's because we're a liberal arts college. Yeah. Do you think there's a secret to Albright's success over the last 12 or 15 years? We've been invited to the regional festival 11 times. 3 times the productions have been honored with the best production of a play in the United States. So, yeah, what's going on there?
I think we have a secret.
I don't think we have a secret. I think it's more just the students are super dedicated. We love our work. We love what we do. We love working with people, especially with each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a secret to it. I just think a lot of dedication and hard work goes into our productions, and I think that's what makes them so noticeable and so intriguing to watch.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Not just from the students, but I think it's that collaborative energy between our theater faculty and our students, and how they are constantly pushing us to be dedicated and to want to do the work and to work with them and work together to make something incredible. So yeah, definitely our faculty is
Huge.
a huge part of that.
I think we have high expectations for each other and of each other, and maybe other schools are more relaxed or more lackadaisical about that. I don't know, but so many memorable and wonderful productions over the years. I wonder, would you and Bence like to give us a little taste of the show?
Oh, yes,
Absolutely.
of course.
Could you do that?
Yeah.
I guess stand in front of me. Mackenzie. Maybe, or maybe stand just
Behind
behind,
here.
Okay.
and keep your mics on so the audience at home can hear you. We'll back off. So as Mackenzie was saying, we followed Christopher Boone through this remarkable exploration of his parents' relationship and into the City of London, and he's made it back to his hometown at his special school has taken his A-levels in mathematics.
Can I stay at your house so I have a room to put all my things in and so I don't have to share the toilet with strangers?
No, Christopher, you can't.
Why? Is it because I'm noisy or sometimes too difficult to control?
No, it's because I'm not your mother.
No.
That's very important. Do you understand that?
I don't know.
Christopher?
Yes?
Here,
What's this?
it's your result.
Right.
You have to open it and read it.
Right.
Well, what's it say?
I got an A star.
But that's just great.
Yes.
Well, aren't you happy?
Yes, it's the best result.
I know. How's your dog?
He's very well, thank you. Mother got the flu last week, so I had to spend the week at Father's house, so he slept on my bed at night in case anybody tried to come in and he would bark.
Right, and how are you getting on with your father?
He planted a vegetable patch in his garden last week. I helped him and Sandy watched. We planted peas and carrots and spinach, and I'm going to pick them when they're ready. He also got me a book called Further Maths for A-Level. He told Mrs. Gascoigne I was going to take further maths next year, and she said, okay, I'm going to pass it and I'm going to get an A star. And then in 2 years, I'm going to take A-level physics and get an A star. And then I'm going to go to university in another town. And I can get an apartment with a proper toilet and a garden. And then, in 2 years, I'm going to graduate. And then I'm going to get a first-class honors degree. And then I'll be a scientist. I can do these things. I can do these things because I went to London. I found my mother. I was brave.
You were.
And I also wrote a book.
I know. I've read it. We turned it into a play.
Does that mean I can do anything, do you think? Does that mean I can do anything, Siobhan? Does that mean I can do anything?
And that's almost the end of the play. We still are wondering how he passed his A-levels, and the audience fortunately gets a wonderful explanation
Absolutely, yeah.
of that. Remind me of the excitement of going to festival and performing this play, not for your fellow Albright students or the Reading community, but for people who are dedicated to theater themselves.
It's truly a remarkable experience because the audience there are all avid theater lovers and they're going there to experience true theater and they just eat everything up. I remember when we performed Raised in the Sun there, they would just applaud at random moments that we didn't think they were to applaud at, and they were so invested in the show and they just give you so much energy that it's unlike anything that I've ever done before.
Yeah.
There's a high level of expectation from them. So that raises the stakes and the energy that you have to bring through your performance because you want to deliver for them, because you know that their expectations are so high.
Yeah. Theater is about telling stories. It's about communicating truth to an audience, and to know that that audience is hearing it and understanding it and receiving that truth. There's just nothing better.
Yeah.
So I'm busy teaching, but on Friday I'm going to be down there
good.
in the K Theater at the Clarice Smith Center for the Arts at University of Maryland, and cheering you guys on. You might even get a couple pictures from the balcony. We'll see. Do you have a lot of duties on Friday at the performance, Mackenzie?
Yep, a lot.
Yeah.
We start with load-in to get all our set down and everything. And basically what I'm doing that is I'm kind of floating around. Benz and I take some measurements, we do spike, but I'm floating around to make sure everything's kind of going as planned, that kind of thing. And then once Friday happens, we have specific, so they have to go eat lunch, they have to do this, we're having rehearsal at one point. So everything sort of has to be right on time.
It's really on the clock, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Load-in is an amazing process.
Oh, yeah.
2.5 hours total? to
Hopefully.
get all the scenic elements, including a floor, including all the lights that we've brought down,
Yeah.
and get those all pointed and focused.
Right.
So it's a real race against time, and I know Billy Ballmer and his whole crew are looking forward to those exertions.
We're super
yeah.
thankful for Billy and all of
Uh-huh.
his hard work and everything that goes into this because it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that has to go down with us for the show to be what it was while it was here.
Well, I'll tell you, your college is very proud of you, and we wish you really great luck.
Thank you.
This is not a competition. It's not like a basketball tournament. So the idea is not to trounce the opposition. The goal is to convey the truth that you've discovered through your hard work on this production, and just to share that with people who will really get it and really love it
Yeah.
in return.
Thank you so much.
Great. So travel very safely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And break a leg on Friday night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, John. This is
My
great.
pleasure. My pleasure. It's great to have you as well. Thanks for joining me on this edition of the Albright Scholar. We'll be back in the month of February. At least I think I will. This strange beard that you see is part of a play that both Sanaya and I are preparing in the month of February. We might give you a hint of that as well. So we'll say good night now. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next edition of the Albright Scholar. Good night.